Walk them right next to the bus. Like half a mile down the road. Nice. Come on, once you get it right. It's right next to the Indian University. Oh, okay.
भाव जाता है
गायला लिखा होता है
सुनामी रंग
आगे बांग्लादेश फैक्चर
लेकिन जो bird भी हो ना केज में you open the door for the bird बाहर निकल नहीं चाहता you want to stay in
Move slightly to the right. They want to
चले हुए हैं
just put them.
आप भी चले हुए हैं
शायरी तो पुराना शेर है
लेकिन एक बात बताऊं ये शायरी makes me something like only if you understand what I'm saying. तो आप लोग जो है ना कराची में ये है एडवांटेज अपना हम लोग पठान लोग जो है
अहमद फराज का नाम सुना है
हाँ टीचर
लेकिन अहमद फराज भी आगे की सरजमीन से पैदा हुआ उसके अलावा ये भी देखेंगे फैज को देखेंगे माल को देखेंगे नासिर आजमी को देखेंगे
ऐसा सब है ऐसा सब जामा फिर college में शाह में और ये was on the teacher वो शायरा हो रहा था तो you pick up you see where somebody left I studied
Assalamu alaikum everyone. There is a Mercedes 182 KS1 black that's parked in 2 lanes, taking up 2 lanes. So I think the sister who parked here, just give me the keys, I'll move the car, and Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
You have to stress on के तो सब देख रहे हैं या तो आगे start again तो मैंने कहा फोटो पे हर मुस्कुरा उसको इतना मैंने इरिटेट किया मुझे जो है तो shove me out of the class and he mocked me like that
उस ज़माने में टीचर सब हमारे ज़माने में टीचर जो है वो सबके सामने भी बाजार आपका पढ़ने को करते थे WhatsApp से क्लास पहुंचाने की और आफ्टर मंथ क्लास for 5 days बैठे हुए थे मगर वो वहाँ कराची में इस तरह से यहाँ कैसे और मैं मतलब जैसे कहते हैं कि I'm like going by खुदा के और उन्होंने मतलब छोड़ा नहीं ऐसी मेरी सबके सामने क्लास मिस कर रही है। अच्छा अब रोज क्लास मिस छोटा for sure.
You become conscious of yourself.
मेरे दोनों वालिदैन कराची में प्रोफेसर क्या मैं don't watch this. I grew up in
Major had the job of Karachi, 1967. I was medical student. We were crossing Indus River. जून का महीना उस वक्त खबर आई कि इजराइल ने जो है तो अरब में जो है हमला किया look at that time and now still they are occupying something.
So he decided
Sink. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونتوب إليه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد. To bid farewell to the month of Ramadan is to bid farewell to an amazing and a dear friend. To be granted the privilege to give this khutbah as we close the month is nothing other than a tremendous blessing to be here in front of you
and to inshallah enjoy this experience as we close this ibadah of Sawm and Siyam, to present to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala our deeds, our intentions, our commitments, and our renewed vow and commitment to Him as truly our merciful God. So as such, my respected elders, my dear sisters and my dear brothers, we have to contend with the fact that, like all wonderful things in life, good and amazing, they must come to an end. It's the nature of the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this life is frail and fragile, and the beautiful things also have a time stamp on them. And in this Friday, in about 25 minutes or so from now, we will close this loop, and we'll have merely one day left in fasting, and then inshallah ta'ala, we'll close this chapter to write a new one. I must confess that while I'm feeling the joy and the tremendous benefit of what this month has done, I'm also feeling a sense of anguish and anxiety, which could be due to the separation of this canopy of rahmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has erected over us for this beautiful occasion to really parse through the hardships and the complexities of the world that we are living in. It's important to remember that while the month of Ramadan was witness over us, we were also witness over it. At every beaconing call for the prayer, for the siyam, for the intention, we did our best to show up. However broken, however weak, however confused, and however searching we were, we tried to come to the door of taqwa in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knock on it with our hearts open and with a true sense of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the hope that He might accept us and welcome us on the other side of the door. But this Ramadan is also going to carry our records. They will remain suspended until we pay our sadaqah of fitr, and until we present and seal our book to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so He can parse through everything that we have done for this month. Deeds which were fulfilled in this life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward for them inshallah ta'ala. And deeds that we have invested for the life to come, we are praying for the bottom of our heart that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept them, will make them weigh heavy on our balance, and will reward us for everything that we have attempted to do. We will remember very fondly some sweet memories in this month that, for me personally, as I'm sure for you, will stay with you forever. The full prayer halls have sent a very clear signal that the hearts of Muslims are beautiful and they long for the house of Allah, and they wish to come and return time and again to find their peace in places of worship like this one. I love the fact that in the month of Ramadan, despite the extraordinary demand on our resources, Muslims show their most beautiful side of generosity and of giving, their wealth, their time, and quite frankly, even those who have nothing to give still give from the very little that they have. I cannot say enough about the gatherings that in nature would be profane, but in Ramadan they become sacred. When we sit at Maghrib time, collectively as a community, and we break bread together, that meal is like no other meal. It's a meal in which a Muslim hosts another Muslim in compliance with the Sunnah and say, come eat from the table of people of faith. And the people of faith, their table is like no other, because beyond food and drink, it also nurtures the spirit and it nurtures the beautiful relationships we have with one another. It's amazing that during Taraweeh, as we come together, the occasions become deeply spiritual. Much like when we remember in our youth when we were growing up, somehow we never forget the fragrance of our mother or her scent as we sat on her lap to be nurtured and to be brought in this life. Every night when I am behind an imam, listening to the Quran being read in Taraweeh, I feel its embrace. I feel its motherly love. Every heroine that gets described in the Quran, those who had an extremely hard life, like the wife of Pharaoh, you couldn't possibly as a woman experience something that is as terrible or as hard. And yet, that get elevated to the rank of the ones that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks of with reverence and deep respect. Like Maryam alayhi salam, who the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said that she is Sayyidatu Nisa'i al-Jannah, that she is the queen of all women that will enter heaven. Like the women who have fallen short and accepted the responsibility and became amazing through their repentance. Imra'atul Aziz, who tempted Yusuf and who came back and said, I made a mistake and I'm sorry. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted her tawbah. Women who inspire, women who lead deeply. And yes, the men heroes of the Quran are absolutely countless. But that's the amazing thing in the Quran. It speaks also for the voiceless, for those who sometimes do not have the chance to speak for themselves, so Allah speaks for them. Those are life-changing moments when we hear an imam read the verses and we say, Subhanallah, my eyes and my heart got open to something that although I have heard it hundreds of times, I never paid attention to it, and today I do. And we all hope and pray that the opportunity that was afforded to us in this Ramadan will inshallah be afforded to us again. Our time is short, and none of us have a covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that says to Allah, thou shalt allow me to be here next year. None of us have this privilege, none of us have this right, and even the Prophet ﷺ didn't have it. And inshallah, Allah willing, we will have the call, inshallah, come back to enjoy the tremendous benefits and the beautiful experiences that will come to us, and we will be part of them with His will. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Ali Imran, يوم تجد كل نفس ما عملت من خير محضرة. Verily there will be this day where we'll all come back and every being will find that all that they have done is in store and it's ready for them. I want to spend the balance of the time closing on these precious moments we have left and prepare us to come, inshallah, to the great celebration of the month of Ramadan when we get together on Sunday, inshallah, to engage in this festive and beautiful day that we call Eid. I love our past generations in terms of their wisdom and their perennial truth that they pass to us from generation to generation. In the wisdom of these past masters, I once read the following, which I will read and then translate, inshallah. ما من يوم جديد إلا وينادى ابن آدم. No new dawn begins except that the son of Adam will hear a voice calling him. أنا يوم جديد. I am your opportunity today, a new day for you. وعلى عملك شهيد. And I am here to witness what you have in plans for me in terms of actions. فاغتنمني, make the most out of me. فلو غابت الشمس, because when sundown will arrive, لم تدركني, and you do not make the most of it, you will not see me again إلى يوم الوعيد, until it is time to come to account for your deeds in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's also about accounting. It's to have this joy of asking the following question. How did the experience of this month in Ramadan, through prayer and fasting, sustainably transform us? You have a lot of these fashionable things. People who get enticed to have a calling that they have to put their body in order, and they're extremely enthusiastic about their first 2 weeks in the gym, and then they drop it. They get very excited about the diet and the nutrition that they have to take care of, so that they poison their bodies, and they do it for 2 weeks and then they drop it. And they got called on to whatever things in their life that are required to have a significant effort of investment, and they sample it for a day and two, and they drop it. So in the month of Ramadan, we have spent an extremely heavy toll, 30 days of extreme vigilance in being aligned with the values of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the best of ourselves. 30 nights we have been very vigilant in making sure that we do not break our link to the Quran by saying to the Quran every single day, I'll come back and I will relate to you. Maybe it's for a verse, maybe it's for a page, maybe it's for a surah, maybe it's for a chapter, maybe it's for a juz. It doesn't matter what the quantity is. But what was beautiful for the entire month is that every Muslim would feel guilty if they did not reconnect to the Quran on a particular day, and they would rush to make it up. And what a beautiful habit that is. But to sustain things is about discipline. It's about commitment. It's about long-term vision, and it's about to say something extremely important. To make the following statement: now that I have discovered my better self, I will not let it go to waste. I will not compromise it again. I'm gonna make my companion, my better self, to take me to where I need to go. So each and every one of us will have to ponder and ask the questions. Has the experience of Ramadan transformed me sustainably? Have I been able to find my way home, whatever home is defined for you, however success is defined for you? Have I been able to discover a new level of my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is deeper, that I don't want to let go of, because it's very, very, very special? Have we cleared our heads and our hearts from the noise that is absolutely promising to wait for us after Monday, to come back to us and knock on our doors with a vengeance? Yep, you were able to keep me away for 30 days, but you know what? I'm back. And our strength will say to those voices, and you know what? You're not welcome, because I'm a better person today. Have we healed every day and every night in this month of Ramadan The world that surrounds us has tested us in ways that we have never seen before. And our tranquility and our peace was gone. The question is, have we been able to find back some of that peace and some of that tranquility? You see, there is this romantic notion in the head of Muslims, and I hope to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help me because I don't know where it came from. Every time that Muslims think about this incredible nostalgia, whether it is the prophetic era when the Prophet ﷺ was alive, or they think about the Khilafah al-Rashida, the 4 companions that have followed him and lived that life, or they think about the high points of the Abbasid and the Umayyad dynasties, they have this romantic notion that there is a place out there in history that is called Nirvana. If only we could get back to it, everything will be amazing. Stop and stop and stop and think again, because they were not. They were not. They were daily hacking at life with a machete every single day, that the Prophet ﷺ had to go out and earn life and earn souls. And Abu Lahab came to him when he was in sujood, when Surah Al-Alaq was about to be revealed. And Abu Lahab came to the head of the Prophet ﷺ on the ground and said, here is what I dare you. You put your head in sujood and I will step on it in public such that other people can witness that no God can come to save you from me. This is the life that the Prophet ﷺ lived. And he did. And he did make good on his promise. When the Prophet ﷺ put his head down to sujood, he called the people of Mecca and he said, come witness it. I'm going to teach him a lesson. And the Quran came down. فَلْيَدْعُ نَدِيَّهُ سَنَدْعُ الزَّبَانِيَةِ كَلَّا لَمْ تُطِعْهُ وَاسْجُدْ وَاقْتَرِبْ. He stepped close to the Prophet ﷺ, and he was about to walk to put his foot in front of the head of the Prophet ﷺ. And a trench of fire opened between the two of them. And the angels fanned that particular fire to say to him, you dared him, and Allah dares you. Step over it if you can now. He withdrew and came back. So whatever it is that people think, it was all amazing. It was just a cakewalk. Walk in the park, the life of the Prophet and the Sahaba and everything else. Think again, because we need to heal in times of hardship. This dunya is a life of hardship. That's what this dunya is about. And I love the fact that Ramadan reminds us and gives us that strength. I love the fact that it helps us to discover the potential that we were braver than we ever thought, that we have more patience than we ever thought possible, and then we can tame our desires, and we can make of this nafs a beautiful nafs that knows what it means to submit for Allah, so Allah raises our heads and gives us our izzah. I find it always amazing that the people with the less vocabulary are the ones that express themselves the best. And I count myself as one of the ones who have very, very poor vocabulary. One of my beloved Sahabas of all time is Bilal ibn Rabah. A truly, truly beautiful soul. One day he was sitting with the Prophet ﷺ, and Mu'adh ibn Jabal was sitting next to the Prophet ﷺ. And Mu'adh and the Prophet ﷺ were going at it with all kinds of poetic prayers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Bilal started to feel very uncomfortable. So at some time he turned to the Prophet ﷺ and he said to him, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but this dandana is not for me. Meaning that this very flowery, expansive language of the too many ways that speak of the incredible depth of what's being said, I don't have that skill. I can't connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that beautiful language. So the Prophet ﷺ, in his infinite mercy and his infinite gentleness, tells him, what would you say then? If this is too much for you, how would you say it in your own language? Allahumma inna nas'aluka ridaka wal jannah wa na'udhu bika min sakhatika wal nar. He said two sentences. Oh Allah, I pray to you, this is how Bilal prayed. Oh Allah, I pray to you that you are satisfied with us and you grant us the abode of Jannah. And we pray that you are not dissatisfied with us and you do not subject us to the torment of hardship. Here is the way that the Prophet ﷺ responds to that statement. عليها ندندن يا بلال. Every noise that you've been hearing between me and Mu'adh ibn Jabal for a while that might have made you a little unsettled, it is nothing other than what you just summarized now. This man, this Bilal, prior to the Quran being revealed to give him the strength, relied on something very simple. One word. One word was his entire vocabulary. Ahadun ahad. You alone, you alone, you alone. That was his entire vocabulary. He didn't have any more than that. This is a skill that we are forgetting, and that Ramadan comes back to remind us that we have to acquire it again. Because it's not about the pomp and glory. It's not about writing War and Peace to make your case to Allah. It is, how are you coming to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with an open heart and an open mind to welcome the way that He wishes you to be transformed. I love the way that the Prophet ﷺ says this in better ways that I can ever dream of saying it. He says in the hadith, أَعْدَ عَدُوِّكَ نَفْسُكَ الَّتِي بَيْنَ جَنْبِكَ. One of your most avowed enemy is the self that you have between your two sides when it goes haywire. So do something about it to ensure that it doesn't. And I want to conclude on the theme of the days to give myself first and foremost this advice and admonition, and if you are so willing to share it also with you. I want to say that yesterday is already gone, and there isn't much you can do about it except to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He accepts from you what you've done. Today is here, and it's an invitation to engage with it fully. Enough of the guilt, enough of the pain, enough of the hurt. Allow yourself to come fully to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so He can take you to the next level. Tomorrow is certainly unknown, but it is an invitation to hope and wonder, because you never know what's in store for you and where the good is going to come from and which door you have to have ready to open in your life in order to embrace the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But here is the prescription of Islam. It never stops to this tree, because yes, though we live inside history, we are not prisoners of history. This is one of the greatest gifts of this religion. We live inside history, but we are not prisoners to history. So there are 2 days that are going to come. One will be the day where we go back to meet our Maker, and only He knows when that will come. Be ready for it. And a day where we will go back to meet Him in order for us to transition to our final home. Pray that that day will be the day where we will be ultimately rewarded, and that will be your true success. It's with the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I wish to end this first khutbah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us gently, very carefully, very candidly, the reminder of a God that loves unconditionally the servant that serves Him. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَذِكْرًا لِمَنْ كَانَ لَهُ. This is a reminder for the one who has qalbun, a heart that knows how to listen with the heart, that has cultivated the skill to listen with the heart. وَأَلْقَى السَّمْعَ, and paid attention, وَهُوَ شَهِيد. When he paid attention, he was a witness, fully present in the moment to take on this advice from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and give it its due respect. In conclusion, my dear brothers and sisters, أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فيا فوز المستغفرين. الحمد لله، الحمد لله ثم الحمد لله، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Can I ask for a favor? Please do not disturb the salat because we are still part of the salat. I'm just going to ask for a person to raise their name if they are in the hall here. Is Rifad Altaf here in the hall? We have a special request that comes to us by way of an online submission for the dua. And we received this one, and it's heartbreaking. Harun Rifad, who was a 10-year-old, passed away in August this year after he battled cancer for 2.5 years. A pure soul. And his parents have asked that we pray for him. Allahumma arhamah. Allahumma arhamah ya Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma akrim mathwah. Allahumma akrim mudkhalah. Allahumma arzuqhu الجنة والفردوس الأعلى. اللهم إن نجعل نور من فوقه ونور من تحته ونور من أمامه ونور من خلفه. اللهم ارفع مقامه إلى مقام الصديقين والشهداء والأنبياء يا رب العالمين. اللهم إذا عدنا إلى ما عاد إليه فلا تفتنا بعده. اللهم أرزق صبره أهله الصبر الجميل. اللهم عظم أجرهم. We also have received the request that unfortunately just before the meeting when we got the request yesterday that Sister Farida Ahmed had her mother Inayat Ahmed sick, and subhanallah she just passed. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept her and to give her our rahmah inshallah, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to elevate her to al-firdaus al-a'la inshallah ta'ala, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give her family patience in these difficult and trying times. I also want to say a word for my very, very beloved brother, truly, truly a brother and an exemplary, beautiful human being, Brother Salim Kahnani and his wife, because they are currently in Pakistan, and the mother of the wife, the father of the wife of Brother Salim Kahnani has passed, and we also give our dua for her, and we wish them inshallah strength as they return, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect them on their journey back. And Salman, who's here in the audience, please accept our condolences, inshallah, on behalf of this community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them all, inshallah, and make their trip safe home as they come back. اللهم تقبل صيامنا وقيامنا واحشرنا في زمرة خير المتقين. اللهم شفع فينا الصيام والقرآن واجعل أعمالنا خالصة لوجهك الكريم، وتقبل منا صالح الأعمال، واختم شهرنا هذا بالخير والبركة. اللهم أحسن خاتمتنا ويسر حسابنا ويمن كتابنا واجعلنا أول الداخلين إلى الجنة من باب الريان. عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله، وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Are we doing at the back? Is there enough room for everyone? That's good. استووا تمام. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفذ البحر قبل أن تنفذ كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر